Hey everybody, I just came down and turned the lights on this morning, and I get a lot of people asking me about my crayfish, saying, don't they eat your plants and don't they tear your plants up in your tank? And I always answer, yes, they do. And you can see that's what this one's doing right now. This is the smaller of the two that I had in here. If you follow along, you will know that this is now the only crayfish I have in here. The other one sloughed. And while she was still a paper shell, this one got a hold of her and basically tore her up. And I caught her before too much damage was done. It was only some claws and some legs that had been torn off. I just think that the struggle had gone on so long, she was literally exhausted and simply didn't make it. I did separate her, and she didn't last very long in the container I'd put her in. And this one here is the culprit. So now it's in there munching away on all of my plants, and you can see how there's nothing left of them. This is what they had looked like. You know, you can see the leaves are all sort of algae covered because those are the original growth from the plants when I got them. And then you see this sort of new growth up here on the top. But they did have growth at the bottom. They weren't these little strands and stringy. You know, all the leaves have been torn off and munched off. You can see back there some of the stuff has been torn down and torn off. And even up here, all of that has been cleaned off. So that may be from earlier when I transplanted them. But this is all clearly this crayfish down here. So that gives you a pretty good understanding of why I was having so much trouble with them being torn out and floating up near the surface, and why I've spent so much time trying to get them repositioned underneath these rocks to hold them in place. In fact, now that I'm looking, there's quite a few plants floating around up top. So just yesterday I was in there doing a water change and transplanted these, or replanted them I should say. And now you can see they've all been torn up again. So if you're ever thinking about getting a crayfish, they're fantastic little animals. I really like them a lot. They're fascinating, they're fun, they're active, they're really interesting. They've got an interesting life cycle. But be wary, they are destructive. They will dig, they'll eat your plants, they'll kill your fish, they'll kill and attack each other, they'll shift your scape around, you know, they'll dig holes and shift rocks. When I set this tank up and established it, if you see all of the rocks in this tank, some of them are fairly significant, and if they were to shift or, you know, slide, could actually do some damage. So when I set the tank up, I set it up with the rockscape first before I put any of the gravel in there, and that way the rocks are all secure. Even if I drained the tank and moved the gravel around any way I wanted, those rocks would not shift or go anywhere. And I did that in anticipation of having crayfish in this tank because of my experience with crayfish. I know that they get in there and dig and burrow and they move stuff around. They're little construction workers, they really are. So if you've got a tank for it, they're fantastic little animals. I really do recommend getting them. Let's see if she tucks herself down in that little nook there. She's still out on the hunt. So I am getting ready to feed this tank. I'm going to throw some sinking shrimp pellets in there, and that will give her some sort of meaty food to eat. I'm sure she's ready for some since she's already got the taste for meat. And she's certainly got plenty of vegetation to eat. Not sure why she's waving her claws around like that. That's interesting. So that was it. I got to get back to getting everybody woken up and fed for the morning. I just wanted to shoot that little video because I saw that she was doing that, and I wanted to actually get some footage of her munching on my plants. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. You never know what you're going to get with me. I like to just grab my camera when I see something interesting and get video of it, so it's always something good coming up. This is my 125-gallon native tank, and I will be adding more crayfish when the weather warms up and I can get more in here, so we'll get back to some little more dramatic crayfish action. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.